Hi, I'm Eliane Phillips, creator of StoryWeaver and co-creator of Dramatica, and welcome to the StoryWeaving seminar. The subtitle for the StoryWeaving seminar is Story Structure for Passionate Writers, and that's what the 2 days is about. The first day is the structure part, and the second day is the passion part. I know I mentioned this earlier in our little warm-up time, but a couple of you haven't heard it. Day one is going to take up about maybe about 9/10 of this syllabus on day one, and it's all details and mechanics and nuts and bolts of story from the Dramatica theory point of view. We're going to be throwing a lot of stuff at you really, really fast, and it's not intended to have you get every detail. It's just intended that you catch the key points, and the rest of it, let it wash over you. After we break for lunch and come back in mid-afternoon, by that time you'll probably end up having something we call brain melt that I mentioned earlier here. Brain melt is where you get so much information that you cannot hold anymore, because a lot of what you will hear is new, and a lot of it requires consideration. But there's no time for that, because we've got a lot of stuff to give you. So you'll start having information come through, and you won't even be hearing what I'm saying by the end of the day today, probably. And you'll think you're losing it. You're not. That's actually what we're intending to do. Studying story mechanics is an interesting exercise, but it's nothing a working writer would want to do as a profession. The only reason for studying story mechanics is to be able to make sure your structure is sound. And when structure is done well in a story, it's invisible. Nobody notices. It's only when it's done poorly that it's something that people see. What they see is your passion and your subject matter and your point of view that you're trying to get across, and the arguments you're trying to make, and your moralizing, if you choose to do that, your message. That's what they'll see, and the structure won't be there. So spending a lot of time on structure is ridiculous, because authors aren't writing to create the great American structure anyway. They want to create the great American novel, a great American screenplay. So under those conditions, when you get this material today and it starts to go over the top, know that that's intentional. What will happen is it will just filter on down into the subconscious and give you more of an intuitive sense of what works structurally, what doesn't, how things hang together. And as you sleep over the next couple of weeks, you'll probably find yourself waking up in the morning with inspirations on various days, going, oh yeah, that was in class, I'd forgotten about that. Or, oh, I know a new way to approach this. Okay, so it will give you a sense of good structure, and that's the thing you should be going for here. Now, if you want to know about the rest, we have the entire Dramatica theory book, 450 pages. It's on that CD you got with class, the Writer's Survival Kit. So you get the entire book, and you can study it at length and get all the details. Plus there's other products that I have available both here and on the website that you can delve into the theory if that's your cup of tea. But today will be very dry, very textbook, punctuated with a lot of video clips, so it's not too bad to illustrate all the points. But don't worry if you don't catch it all. That's fine. And then tomorrow we'll move into the passionate side, and we'll be going through a step-by-step process that mirrors the creative process, whether you're a sculptor or a singer or a dancer or an architect or a writer. The same process is used by all of us. We start with an idea, or we're looking for an idea, and once we get the germ of it, we develop it. Once we develop it, then we try to organize it. Once we organize it, we try to lay it out in some kind of sequence. And that's really basically how all of us work. So I've taken that process in StoryWeaver, which is the focus of the second day, and lined it out one item after another in kind of an outline, and we'll go through them. No video clips, so it'll be a little less entertaining, but you'll be focusing on your own ideas tomorrow. You'll be focusing on your own creative process and learning a lot that you can just immediately apply and use every step of the way. So we have about 200 steps tomorrow to cover in the course of 8 hours, which amounts to about 2 minutes a step. Okay, a lot of material again. If we don't get through it all, that's not a problem. The steps are available and easy for you to study later. But we're going to go through as much as we can, starting with inspiration, which is the hardest place for a writer to be, is needing inspiration. And that will absolutely cover in detail, and then move on as deeply into the process as we can. And then after the seminar, you can study the rest of it if we don't get to it, because we're more intrigued with certain things in the course of the presentation. So that's what we'll be doing today.